Now let's start making the front part of the card. So I wanted to take this plank and put it in front. For that I'm going to need a rotation. Now for rotation we can click on our rotation tool and manually punch in value here like 90. Now this we are punching in 90 to get exactly the 90-degree cross angles. And also we do not want it to rotate the same plank. We're going to need to duplicate and rotate it so this can stay in its place. So I'm going to go into edit, duplicate, and now I'm rotating and still putting in 90 in there. It's going to be there, but there's a way that we can have this one auto snap to that position. How? Let's set it back to 0. I'm going to move this one a little bit in front so we can see there's another one in there. So now I'll click on the tool settings, which is the second button right at the top right. Let me go to the rotation tool here, click on the rotation tool. Now see these menus change. Now this is for the rotation. Now this is where I wanted to set it to relative and 15 degrees. Now what that would do, now if I rotate this, it's going to snap every 15 degrees. Here we go. Alright, so that's where. Now what I wanted to do next, now look at the point from where it rotates. It rotates right from the center. We are going to need to change this pivot point. And what is pivot point? Pivot point is a point from which an object rotates. Now how do we change that pivot point? To change it, you want to hold down D key from your keyboard and it's going to turn into these kind of symbols. While you're holding it down, grab any arrow and pull it where you want it to start rotating from. Let's say I want it to start rotating from this corner. So I'll release it there. Now release D key. Now see, now if I try to rotate this, it's going to rotate from that angle. So now why we did change over here? So that we can place this plank right next to this plank so they can be combined together. Now although I placed pivot with the best accuracy I can, but it's still not at the exact point. There's a little bit gap between, see there's a distance between that edge and here. Now to fix this we can use something called snapping. Hold down V key to snap position one object to another, or we can also snap a pivot point. In this case we need snapping for the pivot point. And what V key does, take a look at these buttons up on the top. Now when I hold V key, it's going to automatically turn on this point. Now take a look at that. So that's the button for snapping. Snap to the points. So these are considered as a points. Point, 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 point. These are all points. So when I click W on it, and while I'm holding D is to change a pivot point. Along with the D, hold V as well. Now left mouse click and move this point. As soon as it gets close to any other point, it's going to start snapping. See, so that makes it so much easier to change the pivot point to exactly where you want it to. Now this snapping does not just work for changing the pivot. Now we did change pivot at where we want it to be. Let's say I wanted to change it to this corner. Same process, hold D and V, left mouse, snap it right down there. Now let's say not using it for pivot point, but we can also use it for any regular translate. Like for example, I want to place this over here. Now placing over there would take a while. I have to adjust down, going forward in, see how long it takes to just get to that position. So easier way would be, since we already snapped it to that position, hold this time V only. Since we are not changing the pivot point anymore, we are only snapping it to this plank over here. So what I'm going to do, hold only V and then left mouse and click here. Now take a look at that. It automatically snaps to right that point, and I'm going to hit F to bring it a little bit close. F brings the selection in the focus. I'm going to close this tool. Now see, it brings you right there. Now I wanted to bring it to this corner. I'm going to keep holding V and snap it to this one. Now see how perfectly it matches right at that place. Alright, now on this side is too long. I'm going to take this section, front one, and going to duplicate it again, Control D to duplicate. This time I'm using shortcut and is right here, edit, duplicate. Okay. Now after duplicating, hit W and move this to the next corner. Right in here, hold V and snap it. Now see, this snapping on this side doesn't work. Why? Because it overlaps, because our pivot point was on the outer side. We can change our pivot point back to the inner side. And how to change the pivot point? Hold D and V, snap it to the front, release everything. Now pivot point is changed. Now only V to snap. There you go. Now that gives us perfectly meshed geometry right into those corners. Okay, now how many objects are there? There are 4 objects total. You can see PQ 1, 2, 3, 4 from the outliner. Now this entire structure 1, 2 and 3 I can duplicate over. See, I'm selecting 3 of them by selecting 1, hold shift, select 2, hold shift, select 3. Okay, then control D. This time I'm duplicating 3 of these together and I'm moving them up together right up to here, and give a little bit gap the way we have in the image there. Now you can see here is kind of getting the shape on the top there. Alright, so now let's duplicate also these sides on the right and left as well. And so how do we duplicate from one side to another? For that one, I'm going to grab one side, let's say this image over here. So now I'm going to go into mesh. You should be in the modeling menu set here in order to have these options show up. And under mesh, there is a mirror option. Now for mirror, click on that option box. Now in this option box, you need to tell what direction you want it to mirror this into. Now red direction is X positive. Now I want it to mirror into this direction, which is X negative. So that's what you will pick here. I'm going to reset the settings. This is the default settings. So by default is set to X negative already, because Maya is already assuming that you're going to be working with facing model towards the positive. Alright, so now right here X and negative, and then I'm going to click on here apply, and that's going to duplicate this over. Now you can see it matches that side and it's shrinked it a little bit. So because now it also added a center line, which is great as well. We can keep that as it is for now. So I'm going to grab this one and hit apply, and see it shrinked on this side. It perfectly matching both sides scale. Now I'll mirror this one, mirror that one, and so on. That one didn't work. So on these guys as well. Select this one, hit apply. Select this one, hit apply. Everything is now mirrored onto other side.